Hey, what's going on? This is another episode of the Reporter Vlog with a two-in-one to finish off his triple header of stories. Uh, let's get right into it. First one is has a world news flavor, sponsored by CNN.com. Um, things ain't looking good over in Gaza. Famine is rising. Uh, But of course, everybody knows this. Should at least should know it by now. Shoot, this is one of the hot world news stories in this lately. But let's get right into it. One of those type of stories that speak for themselves. Probably ain't offer too much commentary on this part of the two-in-one. Okay. Okay, hundreds of thousands are starving in Gaza as famine arrives at incredible speed. The UN aid chief warns. Israel's war in Gaza has brought famine with such incredible speed. The United Nations Emergency Relief Chief told CNN on Monday that as he warned that hundreds of thousands of Palestinians are starving in the besieged enclave. The great majority of 400,000 Gazians, characterized by UN agencies as a risk of starving, are actually in famine. Not just a risk of famine, Martin Griffiths, the UN uh, Under Secretary General for Humanitarian Aid Affairs and Emergency Relief Coordinator, told CNN Christine Amanpour. It's been an extraordinary and wholly unwelcome aspect of the Gazan war, he said. It has brought famine with such incredible speed in the front of the lines. Aid had been trickling into Gaza slowly from two border crossings to in the south, but agencies have been warning if it is a fraction of what is needed. Last week, the UN's Office for the Coordination of Humanitarian Affairs said that Israel had denied critical supplies from entering northern Gaza. But Israel has accused the UN Palestinian Refugee Agency of not doing enough in stalling the progress. Griffiths told CNN Griffiths told CNN Monday that the work to provide humanitarian aid to the 300,000 Gazans who remain in the north of the Strip continues to be a challenge. It's not a matter of the number of trucks that can get in, he said after listening a series of roadblocks, listing a series of roadblocks, uh, uh, a series of roadblocks stopping aid, including unreliable deconflictions of access routes, and civilians having to move from one place of insecurity to another place of insecurity. If we cannot rely on deconfliction of access routes of people in need, if you cannot rely on the hospitals not being attacked, if we cannot rely on people having to move from one place of insecurity to another place of insecurity, those are the issues that make humanitarian aid deliveries. He said, it's not a matter of number of trucks that can get in. Children tried the food relief. More than 24,000 people have been killed in Gaza, and more than 60,000 others injured since October 7th. The Hamas-run Ministry of Health said Monday. Meanwhile, nearly 90% of Gaza's pre-war population has been displaced, according to the UN. Campaign began after the October 7th murder and kidnapping rampage by Hamas gunmen. It saw some 1.2 uh, people killed in Israel and more than 240 taken hostage, more than 130 of whom are still in captivity, alive or dead. Israel's relentless bombing has brought widespread devastation as civilians lives with the threat of imminent death, either by the airstrike, starvation, or disease. Griffiths warned Monday that the dire humanitarian situation in the enclave could create generational hatred. We worried that the security of Israel as much as the security of Gaza, he said. Just a minute. No longer. Among the UN agencies issued a joint appeal for greater aid access to Gaza, saying that a fundamental step change in the flow of humanitarian aid into Gaza is urgently needed. The heads of the World Food, WFP, UN Child Fund, UNICEF, and the World Health Organization said that getting enough supplies into and across Gaza depends on the opening of a new entry routes. More trucks being allowed through the border checks each day, fewer restrictions on the movement of humanitarian workers, and guarantees of safety. The people assessing the distribution aid. People in Gaza, people in Gaza risk dying of hunger just miles from trucks filled with food, said WFP head Cindy McLean. Every hour lost puts countless lives at risk. We can keep famine at bay, but only if we can deliver sufficient supplies and have safe access to everyone in need, wherever they are. WFP earned in early December that the catastrophic hunger crisis in Gaza, which already threatens to overwhelm the civilian population, only intensify. Sawa Tibi, a 53-year-old aid worker and mother of four in Gaza, recently told CNN that her children are screaming all day from hunger. As winds, heavy rains, and cooler temperatures descend on the Gaza from November to February, aid workers and civilians trying to survive persistent bombardment told CNN that they face harsh living conditions, insufficient access to warm clothing, and outbreaks of disease and overcrowded makeshift shelters. Food, fuel, water are ever scarcer, and the price of what little remains is spiraling. I felt bad for the kids. They have nothing to keep them warm. We were dying from cold at night, Tibby said. Those ration their meals so the children do not go hungry. I see people starving, literally starving, said Shabdi Blela, a 20-year-old student displaced from northern Gaza to Rafah, who eats one meal a day. Hmm. The integrated food security and nutrition phase classification (IPC) has confirmed that the entire population of Gaza, with about 2.2 million people, is facing high levels of acute food insecurity or worse, with 1/4 households facing catastrophic conditions. The IPCS is the highest share of people facing high levels of acute food insecurities. The initiative has ever classified to given areas or countries. Man, if I it's a big old story. Let me see. Let me see. Oh no, it ain't. 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 Children at high risk of dying from malnutrition and disease desperately needed medical treatment, clean water, and sanitation services. But the conditions on the ground do not allow us to safely reach children and families in need, said UNICEF Executive Director Catherine Russell. Gaza's 350,000 people under the age of 5 are especially vulnerable, UNICEF said. The agency warned that in the next few weeks, child wasting, which is the most life-threatening form of malnutrition, is children could affect over 10,000 children. Some of the material was desperately needed to repair and increase water supply remains restricted from entering Gaza. The lives of children and their families are hanging in the balance. Every minute counts, said Russell. Russell said. But the agency's echoed relief chief Griffiths warns that the humanitarian aid alone cannot reverse the worsening hunger among Gaza population. Felipe Lazzarini, Commissioner General for the UN Palestine Refugee Agency, said commercial supplies are a must to allow the markets and private sector to reopen and to provide an alternative to food accessibility. There you have it. I thought I wasn't gonna be able to fit this in this one episode. I was gonna take over the whole segment, but man, like I said, there you have it. They going to do a lot over there. They really are, and that's an understatement. Um, hmm. I hope they allow the U.S. to continue to send them aid because, well, but that's a different story. Um, but you heard it yourself. His story pretty much speaks for itself. Let's go on to the next one. Okay. Into our final one. Brought to you by WLKY, donated by my friend once again to the reporter vlog. Shout out to her once again. Um, well, it was meant to be a celebration of the Kansas City Chiefs championship. Pretty much our second in a row. End up costing people lives. And best way to describe this is snakes love. Snakes. One of the best things about snakes are their best hiding places is always in high weeds. So let's get right into it before I run out of time. I never went through right through. Let's, let's get right to it. The two-day Kansas City, Missouri, two teens charged in connection with Kansas City Chiefs parade shooting. Kansas City, Missouri, the two teenagers taken into custody in connection with the Kansas City Super Bowl parade shooting early this week have been charged with as juveniles, and the Jackson County Family Court Division announced Friday. In a statement, a spokesperson for the Family Court Division said the teens have been detained in the Juvenile Detention Center on gun-related resisting arrest charges. Spokesperson went on to say that it is anticipated that additional charges will be filed in the future as the Kansas City Police Department investigation continues. So their status as juveniles, no other information can be released. But a mother of two was killed and 22 people injured by gunfire Wednesday afternoon. Shots erupted amid the throng of fans gathered at a rally outside the Union Station after a parade through the city. Police Chief Stacy Graves said Thursday that the victims range from 8 to 47, with half under 16. Police initially detained three juveniles, but released one who they determined wasn't involved in the shooting. Police are looking for others who may have been involved and are calling for witnesses, victims, and people with cell phone with video of the violence to call a dedicated hotline. All right, that's gonna take a. Where can you go with that one? Why? It pretty much describes that. Other than what I said before I read that story. Why? Like I said the other day, evil is evil, but some evil that's runs so cold, and that's one the perfect example. Here you are in the crowd, and you decide to take advantage of a golden opportunity and hurt 22 people and kill a mother of two. Yep, like I said, let's going back to pick that point up. Yep, mother of two. Mother of two. Like I said, why? Ain't nothing that important, ain't nothing that serious where you decide to take target practice out on innocent people that ain't even bothering you. But it's this generation. Not every young people though, but his generation. You wonder well, what they thinking half the time. Even though Like I say, you wonder what they are thinking half the time, and you halfway don't want to wonder what they're thinking half the time. Because who knows what goes through the mind of of people that do that make up in their mind, wake up in the morning, and make this decision to take out a mother or two plus 22 or injured 22. But hopefully they charge them as adults because they definitely need to be charged as adults. Uh, hopefully they saying and recharge them as adults because this is a joke right here. Because like I said, ain't nothing serious that serious. Ain't nothing that funny. Uh, ain't nothing that important. To one, it's just one of those things that makes no sense, and which isn't nothing in this country far as when these situations turn out. And a day that's supposed to be a celebration of the Chiefs' Super Bowl win, and that'd be something else. A celebration that the people of Kansas City will never forget. But that's all I got for this one. This takes care of it. 2-1. Uh, this triple header, single episode, and this 2-1 episode for the reporter vlog. This is another. That's gonna do it. You have a good one. This is a reporter vlog for February 19th, 2024 on a Monday morning. You have a good one. I'm gone.